All right, let's go. Start. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the OpenText Live webinar series. My name is Gretchen Wurgis, and I'm the Senior Partner Training Manager for our OpenText Global Partner Program. And if you ever have any questions whatsoever about the partner program, if you have a suggestion for a topic or a product or solution you'd like to see covered in a future partner webinar, or you just like to give us feedback or ask us a question in follow-up to this webinar today, you can contact us at any time at partners@opentext.com. This portion of our OpenText Live webinar series, we bring in our solutions extensions partners, which are our valuable partners who have solutions that are on our price book that we work with side by side and that are invaluable to our OpenText team. So we are excited to have Answer Modules, one of our most valuable solutions extensions partners, with us today. And before I hand it over to them to present, I just wanted to do some housekeeping. If you do have a question at any time during the presentation, you can go ahead and put that into the Q&A panel. You'll see a little icon that has a question mark in a chat bubble. You can click on that, put your questions in there, and we'll answer those as we can, and if not during, then after the presentation. There will be a recording available. We'll send out an email with a link to the recording that you can review yourself or share with a colleague. You'll get that within 48 hours, so you'll get that by Monday. And yes, and I think that's all the housekeeping we have, and am happy to hand it over to Joe Stewart from Answer Modules. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, thank you, Gretchen, and thank you to all of you for joining us today. I'm here in outside of Boston, so I can say welcome this morning. My name is Joe Stewart, and I'm responsible for business development here in North America. I'm joined by Patrick. Patrick, could I ask you to do a quick introduction of yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Padre Vitali. I'm the R&D Director and CEO of Answer Modules.
Thank you, Patrick. As usual, we'll open with the disclaimer, and I'll leave it to you to read it in its entirety. Here's what we're going to cover today and what we're looking to achieve. First off, we want to show you how easy it is to integrate Extended ECM with your leading application. So we're going to demonstrate that for you today. To get to that, I'm going to introduce who Answer Modules is, what the product module suite is. I'm going to cover a little bit about Extended ECM in the context of how it is that you can make Extended ECM functionality available in leading applications. Cover off a few of the challenges that are related to that, and then we'll hand it over to Patrick to show you how we can create connectors and what that enables us to do with your leading application. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with answers to questions that might come up. So first off, who's Answer Modules? Well, we are a product company delivering software solutions that enhance the OpenText Content Suite and Extended ECM platforms. And we like to say that we're a multi-platinum OpenText partner. In particular, we've been, for the last couple of years, the Solution Extension Partner of the Year. We're very proud of that, and obviously we've had some good success with that. So what is Module Suite? So Module Suite is a solution set that enables you to perform digital transformation. So very quickly, create solutions on top of Content Suite and Extended ECM platform. And those screenshots that are there are examples of the kinds of applications that customers have implemented using Module Suite on top of Content Suite and Extended ECM. What is the Extended ECM platform as it relates to connectors and enabling use through other leading applications? Well, a way to think about it is, for example, the Extended ECM for SAP solution or the Extended ECM for Salesforce solutions that are offered by OpenText. Well, underneath those extensions, if you will, or those software products, is the Extended ECM platform. And the Extended ECM platform is comprised of both the connectors in the middle, but as well content suite. And importantly, Extended ECM platform provides the connectivity layer that enables you to surface Extended ECM functionality in a leading application. So some of the functionality that's provided to make that possible, or what it enables you to deliver, I should say, is the ability to automatically create business workspaces in Extended ECM for business objects that come from the leading application. So one that comes to mind immediately is in the context of SAP, you might have an invoice, right? That's the object where you can create a business, automatically create a business workspace for that invoice in Extended ECM. And importantly, the Extended ECM platform enables you to update business workspaces inside of Extended ECM based on things that take place in the leading application. So again, using the SAP example, some change happens to the invoice. Well, automatically that change can be applied to the business workspace inside of Extended ECM. Furthermore, then there's a bunch of other functionality, but some that's particularly important is the ability to put inside of the leading application a user experience that enables access to the content and other information that's being managed inside of Extended ECM itself. So the way I often think about that, again, in the context of SAP, is you're looking at the SAP invoice, and inside of SAP, the user can see all the content that's related to that invoice, packing labels and shipping instructions and things like that. So it basically enables users to remain in their leading application while accessing and working with content that's managed by Extended ECM. So now that you understand that basic idea, what are the challenges with making that kind of functionality available inside of your leading application? So not SAP, but perhaps you've got NetSuite, or you have ServiceNow, or some other application like that. Well, in order to use Extended ECM inside those other applications, you have to create the connector. And while functionality is there, creating that is actually relatively difficult. OpenText does offer a couple of ways to do it. You can do it with OScript, you can do it with Java, but every time you go and do that, there are things that happen as a consequence of that. Like you have to update the package, you have to redeploy the package, and that means the servers, the Content Suite Extended ECM platform, have to be restarted. And it isn't enough to create the connector. You really need to make the user experience that will be exposed to the user of the application. You need to make that look appropriate for the leading application. So clearly, SAP has a different experience than does NetSuite or ServiceNow or the other ones. So you need to update the widget so that the user experience is tailored to that leading application. All of that takes a lot of effort. I often say what Extended ECM for Everything does is transitions you from months to days of effort. So that brings us to this new functionality, Extended ECM for Everything. And essentially what it enables you to do is to quickly create the connectors. And after you've created your first connector, it's pretty easy to repurpose that connector that you built to now connect to another application. So the functionality that's being delivered with this enables you to address, say, ServiceNow, and then maybe downstream you want to do NetSuite or one of your custom-built line of business applications. Once you've done the first one, it's relatively easy to go and do the ones downstream. Furthermore, you don't have to restart Extended ECM or Content Suite, and we make it much easier to go and update the user experience that you're going to deliver. So We do that using the functionality that exists within Module Suite, which is low coding, drag and drop user experience. If you remember at the beginning of this, I showed a couple of screenshots. That's the kind of thing that I'm referring to, the kind of user experience that you can put into the leading application. And well, obviously you can make it look just like the leading application. And once an interesting side effect of the approach that we've taken is that those capabilities that you've created using Module Suite that execute inside of Extended ECM and Content Suite, those capabilities can now also be executed from the leading application. So one that comes to mind immediately in the case of, for example, the SAP invoice use case, if you need to send a tailored letter to the vendor for whatever purpose, you can kick off that process inside of the leading application, provided you created that capability inside of Extended ECM using Module Suite. So it isn't just being able to access the documents inside of the leading application. You can also execute new functionality as well. And then I'm almost done. One other bit of capability is functionality that can be initiated from the leading application inside of Extended ECM. And we do that by enabling you to create new custom events and action plans, which can be triggered and process data that's coming from the leading application. So that quick example I gave of generating the letter, typically you'd be taking data from the leading application, passing it down to Content Suite, and then executing the process. Furthermore, this functionality related to the Event Center is that you can trigger lots of, basically anything from inside of Extended ECM. So I think, Patrick, that I've spoken enough, and no doubt the audience wants to see what's possible. Can I hand it over to you now?
Absolutely, Joe. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, so what we are going to show you today is how to create a new connector from zero. So obviously, what I'm going to do is a sort of simplification. We do not absolutely mean that you can really create a connector in 10 minutes, but today you get a sense on how big is the effort that you will have to put in place in order to do that. So first of all, how the connector are utilized. So if you go on, if you have Extended ECM platform installed, you have Extended ECM menu here, and from here you control basically the entire platform. The first thing that you might be able to do is to register a new application, a new business application. Okay, that is what requires you to have a SPI adapter, so a connector in place. So to register a new connector with Module Suite, the only thing that you have to do is to create a copy of our application template under the business application into the context script volume. So following a convention over configuration approach, I've created my Zoho support connector. So today we are going to create an Extended ECM solution for Zoho support. So inside of the folder, you have a bunch of objects. So the most important one is the manifest file. Manifest file contains the definition of the adapter, of the business object, and of whatever you need to utilize. You can, technically speaking, implement the entire connector inside this single script, but for convenience, you can also work with the subscripts that have been created for you under the protocol version. Okay, so let's start from the manifest file. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is that I already did was to register. Let me change the editor. Let me increase a bit. So register the new application and basically enable it. Okay. So what means that now I can go here and register my business application. I will name it so. And between among the connection, I would find those support. So the one that I've just defined in the manifest. And here I have to provide a URL. So https dot support dot answermodules.com in my case, username and the password. So this will be part of the configuration that the Extended ECM platform will pass you in the different methods, and that you can rely to and utilize for implementing your behaviors. Once you have defined the application, the next thing to do is to define the business object. So let Content Suite be aware of the kind of business object that your leading application is managing. So I can create a business object, and I will do that support case, and I can pick up a configure business application. And as you see, right now, I don't have any business object definition for this application. So let's create a new one. Creating a business object type is super simple. So I have here already configure a bunch of variables that I will utilize in my script. So the configuration allows you to keep track of some parameters that you can utilize later on in your scripts. So for example, in order to integrate with Zoho, we are going to consume REST APIs that are protected by OAuth authentication. So I'm basically putting together the information, the parameters, the configuration that will allow me to connect to the application. So what I'm going to do now is to create the definition for the business object. Okay, support case and is as this. So you create the definition using the API we provide you, and that application is immediately available here. So now I can select the business object, and I keep going with configuration. So I'm selecting the kind of workspace type that I want to connect to, and I will select the template that my system is going to utilize when creating the business workspaces on Content Suite. Next thing is property mapping. Okay, so I need to have property register. By default, only the key property that you have defined in your business object is available. So you need to create additional property. So let's save our work here, and let's add some property to our business object. So again, there is a convenient API to do so. You can add property very easily, and you can add property group as well very, very easily. Once you have created your property and property group, you can just see them in here and keep up with the mapping. So I can configure the mapping between business properties and, for example, categories that I will have on my system. So I will pick up my ticket category, and I will perform the mapping. So ticket number goes to ticket ID, the subject go on the subject, classification will be mapped on classification, priority will be mapped on priority, and status will be mapped on status as well. And that's it. And for property group, to have a products property group, I will map to a category set, again from the ticket. And I have here the vendor will be mapped on vendor. The name will be mapped on products, and version will be mapped on version. And that's it. I can save the changes once again. Now what I can do is, give me a second. Okay. So what I can do right now is to register some document types. So this configuration also allows you to define business attachment list. So I will create a document type definition for this connector, and I will also provide a document property provider so that we can get information and properties for the documents. So I'm defining two kinds of documents, generic attachment and system report, and I'm defining a doc provider here. So what I can do now is go in the attachments declaration and create a new attachment declaration. So support attachments, for example. And again, I will pick up my connector. I will see the document property provider that I have defined with the property that I've defined. And again, I will be able to configure a mapping with a category that I have on my system. At the same time, I can set where the document should be archived. So business workspace, and I will select it pattern for store and for selecting the subfolder. Once done that, I can go back to my business object type and basically finalize the configuration, mapping the external document type generic attachment to the newly created attachment declaration. This will allow me to import batch documents from the leading application and utilize the logic configure utilizing the extended ECM platform to decide where this document should go, how the naming convention should be, and how the mapping with the categories will actually be. Once I've done that, the next thing I might want to do is to start utilizing the connector. So what I'm going to do is moving in the space where support cases should be created, and I will start creating a new support case business workspace. So I can search, and as you see here, we have automatically created based on the definition of the business object that we have created the search mask and with the different search criteria. I don't really like these search criteria, the default search criteria. So what I can do is to define different search criteria. So I can change the search criteria that will be displayed to the users, and I can define what will be the data set, the result set that will be presented to the user when a search will be performed. So if I now reopen the search, you see here, I have different criteria and I can utilize them in my search. So probably have you noticed, I was constantly applying changes to the connector, no restart needed, no redeploy needed. So I can literally develop this new connector while I am thinking about how to build stuff. So the next thing is once we have defined the search and the columns is actually to perform the search. So to implement the methods that allows the user to search for objects. And this is done either directly as I said in the manifest, or you can go into the subscript that for convenience is allows you to keep your code with a well-defined structure. So the script you want to change is this query is this closure query business object, and so basically the application will call this method, passing you the configuration of the connector and some additional parameters such as the filter selected by the user, etc. And here you can implement your business logic to retrieve the information from your system. So let's do that. I will basically utilize a predefined script. So what I'm doing right now is getting some of the information from the application configuration. I'm leveraging my how do you say my predefined OAuth service to manage the OAuth authentication with Zoho. So this is automatically managed by Module Suite. There are services that basically simplifies the integration with any OAuth protected resource. And I'm using our CSWS service to consume the REST API exposed by the leading application, okay? At the end, what I'm doing is parsing the filtered that the extended ECM platform is passing us and querying the leading application to get the results. And what I'm returning is nothing but a list of objects having the same properties that I've defined in the manifest as columns for this result set. So what I can do now is, for example, search all the tickets that have been created in the next 2 days. As you see, the search is immediately available, and now it can be also immediately utilized to perform the search and update the value return. Obviously, when I perform a search, I expect to be able to consume the data and, for example, use the information from this record to prefill the mapping. That's done with another script. So this get business object information that basically does a similar thing of the search, but retrieve all the information for a single business object from the leading application. Again, you have to override just a single method. Is well defined what the parameters that you're going to receive are, and you can utilize the business logic and all the services that are part of Model Suite to retrieve the information from the leading application. So I will do that. And again, what I'm doing here is, again, reusing my OAuth service, reusing my CSWS service to querying the external REST API, and the convenient API method that we have created for managing business objects. So I can create a new business object like this and have the possibility to directly assign the properties that have defined in the definition from the result of the call to the leading application API. So it's super easy. By the way, let me show you what information we are tracking in the leading application. As you see, we have the content server version, the model suite version, and some other information. In the mapping, what we are doing is moving the information about the content server version and the model suite version into a set. So we are basically, we have the flexibility of mapping the information the way we want. In the leading application is a flat information. Here we are basically putting it into a table. So I can save it. And now if I go back to my first example and I do the search again and select again the business object, so this time you will see all the information has been moved into the categories data, and we have the information mapped into the categories. Okay. So I can do that with any other ticket that I want, and I have the information that when I'm done, I can just save it, and the system is obviously going to create the new connected workspace very easily from here. So all the other methods that are in the same folder, they follow similar paradigm. So you have to just update or override their behavior. They're super simple. To speed up things, let me finalize the connector with some pre-configured method that we have, and so that we can manage it. It looks like I did something wrong here. Give me a second. So supports. Okay. Okay. So nothing major. So what I can do now is to keep leveraging the standard functionality of the extended ECM platform, such as, for example, scheduling a job. So I can schedule a job, for example, to synchronize yesterday ticket. So sync tickets. And I will utilize the standard functionality, so the standard job type, create or update workspace. The main difference is that obviously I will be able to leverage, again, my business application, the object type, a predefined scenario, and the filtering that we have selected. So I can, for example, select create date, -1 date, and I will be able to trigger the execution of this case. So let me delete. Oh, I probably don't need to delete it. So let me run this by hand. So I can run it. While this script is running, what we can do is to define another script, this time to notify our team. And this time we're going to run a content script. So we have extended the job that you have available with one generic run content script job, okay? And what this content script job can do is to basically perform an action over the result of the filtering that you have defined as part of the job configuration. So I can basically do the same thing, and you can imagine this time I can say, well, create date should be 1, and I need to have priority high, okay? So I want to notify my users if in the last day has been created for every ticket that has a priority high. And I can select my script. So CSXM, and in here, I will have my schedule script. Say changes. And what this script does, so I can see it from here, so is basically to receive all the information about the newly created business object and retrieving some information from the business workspace. Sorry. And I will check for the workspace, and I will basically notify the user by email. So this first synchronization job probably has completed this job. So I probably have all the cases created into this space. No, not yet, because they probably was already created and I forgot to delete them. But what I can do now is to basically run the notify, or more probably what you want to do is to, for example, run this after the other job as run. So you can sync the let the notify be sent out for all the tickets that have been created by the other task. So there is full integration with these functionalities as well. So once you have created all this stuff, the next logic thing to do is to utilize the standard workspace widget for the leading application and let this functionality be available also in the leading application. And this is exactly what I did here. So let me just be sure that we have the information. Okay. So I just utilized the functionality of the leading application to publish the widget. And as you will see, so what the widgets would do is looking for the related business workspace. If it's not available, will prompt you for creating it. So I can just create a new business workspace from here, and I will be able to start working with my business workspace directly from the leading application. So the connector will be able to, again, retrieve the information and synchronize it back. The next thing that I might want to do from the leading application is to be able to react to event that happens directly in the leading application. So to notify content suite, the extended ECM of these events. In order to do that, we can leverage another API that we made available, and that allows us to register new events on the Action Center. So if we go on the Action Center, and you'll see that we only have as a source content server With this API, we can create a new business application event and register it for the external system. So if I execute this script, okay, I will have now the possibility to have the ticket classification has been changed event associated to the Zoho application. And attached to this event, I can now define an execution plan. So I can, for example, say update the workspace, and among the action, I will utilize a standard action. So I can say create or update the workspace, and I will get the business object type from the event property business object, and I will get the business object key again from the event property, in this case ticket ID, that we have defined as part of the definition of the event itself. Okay. Obviously, this should be performed by some users. So I can select the admin, for example, and I can just create it. Okay. So now I've associated an action plan to my custom event. I can also run a content script from here. So if needed, I can decide as part of my plan to have a content script executed. It's very similar as the one that I've shown you in the schedule job. So once the event is defined, how you manage the event in the leading application. So typically, a leading application allows it to react to some events that happen in the interface. In this case, it allows me to react to events that are related to major information change. So for example, anytime the classification is changed, I can trigger an event. The API for receiving an event on Content Suite is a bit complicated to be utilized. For this reason, what we can do is to expose a simplified API to our leading application. So directly from the Zoho support application, we have created a CS services folder in which we have created the desk service. So this basically will be exposed by Content Suite as a new REST API that any other application can call. And what we did was to move some of the logic associated to, for example, defining the business object type and defining how the event should be built and managed directly into the script. So moving away that business logic from the leading application and moving it back on content server for convenience. Okay. So what I'm going to do is from the leading application, so I'm no longer sending an event through the standard REST APIs of Content Suite. I am utilizing my custom API to perform the same task. So if I change the classification from here, you will see that from the schedule processing, we have now a ticket classification has been changed event, then in a short while should register a new event and will basically update the information in the business workspace. So if we go here, we should see from here this connected workspace, this business workspace, and if we scroll down, you see here now the classification has been synchronized back, and now we have anomaly also here. So this is still question. If we refresh the page and reload the extended ECM, you will see that the metadata has been automatically changed. And obviously the schedule process will mark a process item among the event process. Last thing that you want to do is to have some additional functionality available in the leading application. And that where Module Suite and the unique capabilities of allowing you to tailor the Smart UI comes in handy. So what I can do from here is to customize the Smart UI, for example, the Smart UI menu, to introduce additional functionality. So it's not just a Smart folder where I can upload document or I can perform the tasks that are part of the standard capabilities, I can add additional capabilities, such as, for example, creating a fulfillment document for delivering to my customers the most appropriate hotfixes based on the version of the software they've purchased. So what the system is doing right now is presenting me one form pre-filled with information coming from the leading application, synchronized on content server, and allowing me to select the hotfixes that are relevant for this customer. So, for example, for this case, I might select these 3 hotfixes, and I will set the environment and the kind of output that I expect, and I can click create and store. And what the system is going to do is creating inside of the connected workspace a new document with information that I've collected. So this will be my new document with the information, the link to the 3 different hotfixes, and other information that my customer can use directly. So this is just an example on to say we can help you in bringing not just content, but entire application inside of the leading application. Okay, so the ECM became a vector for bringing a whole set of new functionality. And that was it for the demonstration part. Obviously, there are several other functionalities that I don't have the time to cover that are part of the solution, such as, for example, as I mentioned, we have the capabilities of managing bulk uploads. So among the scripts you will find in upload attachments and demonstrate how to use a bulk API to upload documents, leveraging the attachments declaration that we have created. So to automatically route documents in the proper place and with the proper metadata. I think this is good time now for answering some of your questions if you have.
So Gretchen, I can help on that.
Sure.
I have a couple, and if you can help me with any others that show up. The first one that I see is I noticed the Zoho UI had 3 panels or tiles. How were they created and what do they do?
So they are just part of the standard configuration. So that is the perspective that I have associated to the connected workspace, the standard functionality. The beauty of it is that I've utilized standard tiles for creating these panels. I could have utilized module suite tiles and have more information displayed them directly. So
to tell you the truth, Patrick, I'm not entirely sure what they were referring to. Could you show that Zoho thing, and then maybe you can point out what the tiles are?
Yep. So these are the standard tiles. So the team tile, because when we created the connected workspace as part of the configuration, we also assign a user to one of the roles defined here, metadata, discussion, and then we have the documents. Okay, and I'm looking at the workspace like this just because in the code in my integration with Zoho, that is again leveraging the standard widget. So the standard connected workspace widget, I have selected full page, okay, for the view mode.
Okay. And those 3 tiles that you showed in that, like I guess that's a tab. How were those created?
Again, they're just part of the standard configuration of the perspective associated to this case, so to this business workspace.
Okay. The next one I have was you showed Zoho. What systems have other customers implemented, and can you share what it took to do those implementations?
So this is a brand new functionality. It is something that customers still have to adopt. So we do not have that kind of information yet. But from today's session, you should get a sense on how long it should take. And again, you cannot expect to do that in 10 minutes, obviously. It's a bit longer, but you should get a sense on how much effort you can expect to integrate a system that is exposing REST APIs, for example, protected by OAuth authentication. And with these two sentences, I think that I cover 90% of the cloud software out there right now.
Okay. And then, so I'm not. How long did it take to create the widget for Zoho?
Oh, no time at all, because this one, if you're referring to this new functionality that I've introduced here, so this is one of our standard forms. So I created it with the drag and drop editor that is part of Model Suite, and integrated the menu here was done leveraging the another standard functionality of Model Suite. So I have my Smart View commands here, and from here I have defined the command that I want to be displayed. So it's a very simple configuration, basically a JSON here that is displaying the new command and the alert when I selected it. So when I am in Zoho here and I select fulfillment, this alert confirmation dialog is displayed, etc. Is everything configured here? And I didn't code it again because basically we have these snippets that allows me to create the new command, just providing the configuration, etc. And the code is created automatically.
Wow.
That okay. Was the easiest part.
That's cool. That's all I saw. Gretchen, did you have some others that were on the that came in?
Yes. And excuse me if I'm. Are you sourcing the CSBWS into the leading application? And did you have to modify the leading application's interface?
No, the CWS is our own API package that allows us to consume generic SOAP web services, REST web services. So what we were doing was just to leverage that APIs that Model Suite exposes to consume the leading application REST APIs. We didn't modify the REST APIs exposed by the system in basically no way. On the other hand, in the script, we were able to adapt the information coming from the leading application to the one that our connector was presenting to Content Suite. The example is this data that is flat on the leading application and is turned into a table into the Content Suite. Okay, so we are enhancing, for example, content server version. We are enhancing it because we are saying, okay, for content server, the vendor is open text. So we are grabbing the content server version that is a flat property on the leading application, and we are adding some context into here to be more flexible.
And Gretchen, I finally found the other questions, so I can go with those. So here's an interesting one, Patrick. It has to do with it's specifically SAP Concur, but the general question is, what if we want to integrate with an application that is in the cloud?
Oh, this is the example that I've just shown you is an application that is in the cloud. So I was integrating with Zoho, and Zoho is hosted, is a cloud application. So we are not hosting it.
Okay, that was a good one, huh? So this next one has to do with the integration that you did, which is when the user in Zoho clicked on a document to open it, does the connection go through Zoho, or is it a direct access to Content Suite?
It is a direct access to Content Suite.
Okay.
Depending on the way you interacted, if you click on the download, it doesn't really goes through the Zoho, it goes through the widget and the content server REST APIs. Okay. But it's directly Content Suite.
So this next one is a really good question. It has to do with how it is that you created the connector. So the question is, do you still have to develop the API calls to the leading application, and are they stored in your code volume?
So you need to code, yes, you need to code the minimum amount of code required to get information out of your leading application. But as I've shown you, we provide you a lot of functionality that really simplifies that task. Because, for example, we have the services to consume the REST APIs, we have the service to manage your authentication, and we have several other services that simplifies the way you create them. And this, as I shown you, the scripting solution is very fast to be modified, so the development lifecycle is way faster than anything else because you don't have to deploy, you can apply changes. And the reason why we have independent scripts is because you can quite easily test these scripts independently. So while you are developing, while you are coding the logic, for example, to get or to query the business objects from your system, you can very easily test this script by itself, because the only thing that you have to do is to pass the methods, the parameters that the extended ECM platform will send you, and you will be able to test your business logic independently. So it's a very convenient way of developing each single part of the functionality.
Thank you. Another one has similar or related, I should say. How is the authentication handled between the leading application and Content Suite?
So in this case was an OAuth 2 authentication mechanism. So basically as part of our configuration, as part of module suite, there's an OAuth 2 services that takes care of managing the exchange and the OAuth 2 protocol. So what I did was, when I decided to build the application, I basically authorized Content Suite to query Zoho, and I've generated the authentication code, the authorization code. I made available to Content Suite, and from that moment on, the OAuth authentication flow was managed directly by our service, which is again in most cases the standard right now. So this is what you can expect from any cloud application or even non-cloud application. So this is I would say the standard authentication mechanism utilized by most systems today.
Okay. Could you go back to the Zoho user experience? And there was a tab there that showed documents. So one of the questions that's asked is, what about users in the leading application? Do they see the documents in Content Suite?
Yes, through the widget. Yes.
Right. And so there they are. So like I click on that folder documents, and I suspect that inside there is where that document that you created, which was the letter to the client, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Here's a good one. You know, how complex is it to debug such an application? How complex is it to support such an integration once it's in production?
It is not that complex as I demonstrated, because once again, every element of the application can be tested, isolated, and the scripting solution is easy to be tested. You have direct access to the log file, so you can very easily debug the code and see what's wrong, etc. And the other aspect is that the technology, that is exposed to the developers, is not proprietary. So it's very easy to find documentation, even on the internet, on how to use these scripts and how to develop them, and much easier than finding OScript skilled resources.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. is Extended ECM for Everything compatible with all Content Suite versions?
It is certified for 21.3 and 21.4. We have tested it, and it is supported on previous versions, so the entire 21 line, but not with previous versions.
And is it more accurate to say that it is supported for Extended ECM version, whatever, versus Content Suite? Put another way. Well,
not really, because the two go hand in hand, so it's almost the same.
Okay. Okay. And then there's a licensing question, and which is basically, do you need a license for every user? And so the specific answer is you need a license for everybody who uses the functionality. So typically that is, once you roll it into production, it's everybody who's using Content Suite. Okay. Gretchen, I don't see any other questions, and I didn't see any others over here. Are we good? Did we cover off the questions?
Yes, we did. I think we're good.
All right, Patrick, any closing comments?
Nope, not really.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, on behalf of Answer Modules and OpenText, thank you so much for setting aside the time to learn a bit about Extended ECM for Everything. And thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Joe and Patrick. And thank you, everyone, for your attendance. Keep an eye out for that email with the follow-up with the link to the recording. And have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.